Are you looking to make a few $1,000s, maybe even $1 million? Do you wish you owned a rare asset that could rake in some fast cash? Well, you might want to check your wallet. Your dollar bills might be worth more than their face value. Let's look at the rare dollar bills that you might have lying around that could potentially be worth a fortune. High denomination bills. You might have traveled abroad and marveled at foreign currencies that have high denominations. Perhaps you've seen a 5,000 Serbian dinar note or even the 10 trillion Zimbabwean dollar. But even the U.S. has issued notes in high denominations. The U.S. had printed $500, $1,000, and $10,000 notes. These large denomination notes were in common use in the 18th century and ceased circulation in the late 1960s. If you have any $500, $1,000, or $10,000 notes, you're potentially sitting on a gold mine. These are some of the preferred notes that currency collectors like to get their hands on. $10,000 notes especially are extremely rare. In fact, some collectors have paid six figures for a $10,000 note in mint condition. Even if yours isn't in the best condition, you can still expect to sell it for a couple $1,000s above its face value. If you have family that have lived in the USA for several generations, you might want to look in your family archives. You might just find $500 that's actually worth $20,000. There was even a $100,000 bill printed, but this isn't legally available to collectors. You can, however, see one at the Smithsonian Museum. Before we tell you more about some rare bills you might want to check to see if you have, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First for more. Unusual serial numbers. Unless you're already a currency collector, the only number you're concerned with is the face value of your cash. But if you look at the serial number on your dollar bills, you might find some unusual combinations. These combinations might jack up the price. For example, there was a dollar bill with the serial number 0000002 that sold for $2,500. There are other interesting combinations for serial numbers that can potentially help you rake in a few thousand. For example, you should look for dollar bills that have a ladder serial number combination. These include numbers in ascending or descending order. Look out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You should also look for radar serial numbers where the last four numbers are a reverse of the first four. 2001, 1002 is an example. There are even binary serial numbers that only contain zeros and ones. These don't sell for as much so far, but if you have any lying around, you might want to hold on to them for a rainy day. There are also repeater serial numbers, where you'll see a repetitive pattern in the serial number. This can include 8 numbers of the same kind, the last 4 digits matching the first 4, etc. Those aren't as rare as other combinations, but in a few years, you might find a collector willing to shell out a few thousand for a repeater. You should also keep your eyes peeled for a 7-of-a-kind serial number. This is one that has 7 numbers repeated. These usually sell for a couple $100s now, but it's likely they could be worth thousands in the coming years. Radar combinations. These deserve their own section. A radar note has a serial number that reads as a palindrome. So a serial number backwards is the same number forwards. These aren't as rare as some of the other dollar bills we're mentioning, but radar notes from before 1958 are exceptionally rare. If you find one from before then, you might want to grab a collector's attention. There are also radar repeater notes. These have repeating numbers and also work as palindromes. These can include number combinations like 1001, 1001, or 4334, 4334. Radar repeater notes currently sell for a few $100s. But if you hold on long enough, you might be able to convince a buyer to add an extra zero to their offer. You should also look out for the super radar notes. With these, the first digit and the last digit in the serial number are the same. Between these two are a repeating number or a patterned combination of numbers. Rare banknotes out of circulation. One of our founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton, was on the face of a $1,000 bill printed in 1918. This rare banknote was featured on an episode of Pawn Stars, and there's an estimate of 150 available today. It's valued at $7,000. That's a lot to pay for one bill. You may not think there's anything extraordinary about a $50 bill featuring President Ulysses S. Grant, but have you come across a 1928 $50 gold certificate? Gold certificates were used to invest in gold bullion and showed how much gold the bearer owned. These were popular before getting recalled when President Roosevelt made gold ownership illegal in the U.S. The 1928 $50 gold certificate is extremely rare and valued at $120,000. In fact, if you own any gold certificates from before 1933, you might want to hold on to them. You might find an auction house willing to put it up for sale. The 1882 $500 gold certificate. Okay, now we're getting into the big leagues. If you want to make a couple million from old currency, you want to get your hands on an 1882 $500 gold certificate. When we think of Abraham Lincoln, we either think about a $5 bill or a penny, but his face adorned a $500 gold certificate printed in 1882. These are extremely rare notes, and you'd be hard-pressed to find one in excellent condition. These are valued at $2.4 million. This gold certificate is part of a collection of gold certificates printed in the 1800s. If you have any before the year 1900s, you want to get it insured and take it to your closest auction house. The 1891 Red Seal $1,000 bill and the Watermelon bill. It wasn't just U.S. presidents or founding fathers who adorned our currency. The 1891 Red Seal $1,000 bill has a portrait of U.S. General George Meade. He served in the Civil War and was a commanding officer of the Army of the Potomac. The 1891 Red Seal $1,000 bill first sold at an auction in 1944 for $1,350, which was a fair amount in those days. But in 2013, it sold at auction for $2.5 million. There was also the 1890 Grand Watermelon Bill. This is referred to as the Watermelon Bill because the zeros on the back of the banknote resemble large watermelons. This antique currency bill sold at an auction in Orlando for $3.2 million. Colonial and Confederate currency. There are currency retailers, collector shops, and coin shops that sell banknotes from colonial America as well as from the Confederacy. These banknotes can get sold for a few $100s, with some close to $1,000. Even if these aren't in the best condition, you can expect to pay a pretty penny for a $5 bill from 1861 or shilling from 1779. There haven't been too many major auctions where colonial and Confederate currency have sold for several thousand or several $1,000,000 yet. If you love collecting older money, now might be the time to stack up on colonial and Confederate currency. Do you have a $2 bill lying around? We couldn't end this video without talking about the $2 bill. While you've probably seen a $2 bill only a few times in your life, they're not as rare as you may think. These notes are still getting printed, but they aren't circulated as much as other bills. The only time the $2 bill wasn't printed was between 1966 and 76. So if you have a $2 bill lying around, it might not be worth a fortune, unless it has some unique features. For example, there are $2 bills with errors on them that are considered extremely rare. An error can include an additional overprint or other imperfections in the printing. If so, you might be able to sell your $2 bill for a fortune. Retailers have sold rare $2 bills for close to $20,000, so don't give up hope yet. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you like to keep stacks of cash, or have you gone completely digital with your money? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.